Welcome back to OpenLine. We are talking about women in agriculture. And if you're a woman in agriculture, maybe married to a woman in agriculture, go ahead and give us a call. Tell us about your experiences, your challenges, any questions you might have. We really do have the experts in tonight. Rachel and also Rebekah from the University of Tennessee Extension. Again, thank you for being with us tonight. I want to get into the big picture of women in agriculture, either across the nation or in Tennessee. I think we said earlier 28,000 female farmers in Tennessee. That really is a lot.
Yes.
What do the trends look like?
Well, like Charles Denny said in the video, you know, of course, the number of women in agriculture is growing statistically according to our census data, but women have been involved in agriculture since the very beginning.
Absolutely.
It just wasn't maybe in the leadership role or making the decisions for the family farm. And today, you know, women are still involved, but now they're taking on more leadership roles, I would say. And, you know, taking on the roles of, you know, being an agriculture agent or other leadership roles within some of our industry associations. So we have a lot of women leaders in those, especially here in Tennessee now. So I think that that's exciting. But I mean, overall, women have been involved in agriculture since the very beginning. But now it is exciting, I guess you could say, that they're taking on more leadership roles, and our younger females can see themselves taking on those leadership roles in the future as well, because they see a female in that role now.
Exactly. And you know what? Seeing it is so important. You say, oh, okay, this is doable. I mean, that can go whether it's agriculture or any job.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you can see someone that, you know, reflects yourself, you go, oh, this is open to me. I can do this. Rebekah, what are your takeaways?
Well, I think the same thing, and I think because women are more visible, I think that's also driving some of the efforts to educate and inform women on farming. And so there are special programs now. My experience as an agent is sometimes if there are not a lot of women in a group of producers that you're working with, sometimes the women might be a little embarrassed to ask questions. Might feel a little intimidated, maybe because they see all those years of experience in a room. And so we're finding that when we pull them aside or pull them apart and have us, or us apart, and have a special meeting, then the questions really just erupt. And the camaraderie is great. Not that it can't happen in any group, but that I think it just frees up some women to be a little more confident to ask.
Sure, it can even, it's just kind of the same dynamic when you have someone very young in a group of very experienced people. They're like, I don't want to ask the stupid question.
Exactly.
But it's not necessarily a stupid question, right? We don't know that until you ask it. What are some of the challenges, or, you know, it can also be seen as a growth opportunity for women, particularly in this industry?
Well, I think the challenge would be, for some women now, it's not traditional. And maybe they haven't seen farming models. Sometimes I work with folks that grew up on a farm, they farm right alongside with a family member, and so they're accustomed to some of the practices we take for granted. They know how to drive a tractor, they know how to do things like that. But perhaps if you've been, whether it be a woman or really anyone else, and haven't been exposed to those opportunities, that's the kind of stuff that can really intimidate you. And so I think you know, having opportunities to learn those things where you feel comfortable is helpful.
And Rachel, it sounds like necessarily you didn't grow up on a farm per se.
No.
But this sparked your interest and you jumped into it. Did you ever experience that, like, I'm coming from the outside, can I do this? Did you ever have that feeling?
Not really, because I had so many mentors, male and female, that truly encouraged me to learn all I can, and taking those opportunities to, you know, I don't know how to drive a tractor or all of these things, and people are so willing to teach you, especially in agriculture, I think. You know, you let them know, I don't know how to do that, and they are ready and willing to say, come with me, I'm happy to show you, you know, come on, let's go get lunch, let's go, you know, try this out. And I'm just thankful for all of those mentors, and I think that that's probably the biggest piece of advice I could give. If a female or anyone is interested in coming into agriculture, find your group of mentors that believe in you, support you in anything you want to do, and just ask all the questions you can.
There's certainly a lot of opportunity here in Tennessee just to get into agriculture. I think it's our #1 business here in Tennessee, right?
Yes, our #1 economic driver.
Yeah.
Everything comes back to agriculture. So I didn't necessarily grow up on a farm or in agriculture, but I think agriculture is also, we're broadening that definition, I guess.
Right.
Because, used to, you wouldn't have thought of agriculture, you think of this particular farmer.
Right, being on the farm.
Yes, but that's not it necessarily. I wouldn't say I'm a farmer now either, but I'm still involved in agriculture. So I grew up, with my parents own a landscaping business, and that is agriculture. When we're looking at our census data, forestry, landscaping, turf, anything like that, that's involved in agriculture. So I think just by broadening our awareness and definition of agriculture, then we can also include more males and females in that definition of agriculture.
And as I was reading about some of the different data taken about women in agriculture, they're saying, this might be skewed a little bit because some of the questions changed where there could be more than one person. Who is running this farm? And it didn't just have to be one person, the male. It can be like there are multiple people who are the decision makers here, and that automatically made things jump and help the female category, even though, like you said,
they were there all along.
Women have been there all along helping out. You could not if you're running a farm or a business, even in landscaping. It usually is a family business, and everybody is involved.
And that's very typical because most farm operations, on the outside looking at, we'll say, well, this is a turf business or this is a cattle business. But there's so many areas of expertise to have a successful cattle business. You've got to understand grass, forages, how are you going to feed them? You've got to understand animal health. Somebody's got to keep the books. Are we making or losing money? And so it's very common for there to be multiple heads in operation really to make it work.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a super great point. What opportunities are there for women to reach out right now in Tennessee? I mean, obviously, there's the conference that we saw. There's probably more than one of those going on across the state. You all are making this your life passion to help people and women. So what specific opportunities are out there for women that they should know about?
Well, I think the next big upcoming one that they could put on their calendar is June 3rd, and that is the Upper Cumberland Extension Team, and they are offering a Women in Ag Summit. So that will be held at an operation, so a Acres of Grace farm, and so they are opening up their operation for women across the state to come and just network. I think just meet each other, learn together. So I think June 3rd, put that on your calendar if you're interested. And again, that's open to anyone. You don't even have to be involved in agriculture. If you want to learn and meet others involved in this industry, come. I think that's one of the biggest things that could be helpful, even if you're not involved in agriculture. Get involved. We can all be advocates for agriculture, just like the census data, there's questions changing. Did that have to come from agriculture? Did they have to lobby for that to change? We can all be involved in this change moving forward. So definitely June 3rd, put that on your calendar, but also just reach out to your local extension agent. We have an agent in all 95 counties. So go find your local extension office, meet your agent, just talk to them, ask them questions. They are your local go-to for the University of Tennessee. So go and find your local office, see what programs they are offering. And they don't have to be specifically for females. They are offering all kinds of programs, educational classes. They will come out, like Rebekah mentioned, to your farm, meet with you one-on-one. We have specialists that specialize in certain topic areas across the state. So definitely just reach out to your local extension office, I think, is the best advice.
And I think from the office, then we can connect individuals who come in with other resources that might be available. For instance, Farm Service Agency. If someone's interested in agriculture, they need to be aware of Farm Service Agency. They have programs, low interest loans, all sorts of things to help folks get started. And so we just sort of work with helping folks network.
Yeah, getting connected to the right people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's be a big first step.
Yes.
Hurdles come over.
Yes.
Let's get right to the lines. We have Ann on the line. Ann, thanks for being our first caller of the night. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm not a farmer, but I do garden and do have quite a few vegetables. And in the last 8 years since I've retired, with my grandchildren, it just grows and grows. So my question is, since I've crossed over and have not only quite an extensive array of floral things and vegetables and fruits, and it's just hit or miss, and by the third time, if it doesn't grow, it just doesn't get tried anymore. Are there programs for people like me who are interested enough to want to learn about the soil, and so I don't have to try 3 seasons before I know why a plant survives or doesn't?
And that is such a great question. I'm glad you called in with it. Now listen, I'm going to hang up so you can hear the answer through your TV. It's
Yes.
just easier that way. But thank you for calling in. All right, here we go. So the average at-home gardener, what can they do to learn more?
Yes.
So number one, she mentioned soil health. We do offer soil testing through the Soil Plant and Pest Center, which is not too far from here in Nashville. So that is our soil lab for the whole University of Tennessee. So they can get a soil test box and kit from their local extension office and test their soil so that, like she said, you can know what you're working with. And that's, number one place to start. So that would tell you what your pH is, what your nutrient values are, so that you know how you need to be fertilizing. And we'll get to this later, I'm sure, but with the rising cost of fertilizer, that's very, very important to start off with that. And then next, we do offer horticulture classes across the state at your local office. So, she mentioned a large garden, flowers, cut flowers are growing in popularity as well. So if she just wants to continue gardening for herself and her family, that's perfectly fine. If she's interested in making this a business and selling that at a farmer's market, then she can also talk to her local agent about that as well. And they can get in touch with, me, another specialist. So that's the number one place to start.
Perfect. Okay, we have to take another. Oh, go ahead.
Could I add just a couple more
Absolutely.
things?
Yes.
Master gardener classes.
Yes.
It depends on the county, but it can be what, 8 to 12 weeks long?
Yes.
And it's a different topic every night that would be relevant for her. She also, if she were to contact her local agent, they can give her lists of recommended varieties that have been tested here that will work in regard to vegetables, particularly fruit, trees, that sort of thing, because we know what grows in Tennessee. We've got research and education centers across the state where we test that, and it could save her some money and grief in regard to what to plant. So I hope that's helpful, Ann.
So basically the bottom line, reach out to your local extension office first and just start asking questions, and they know where to send you, right? Not a hard one for them. Okay, excuse me, we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, more of your questions, hopefully. We'll talk more about women in agriculture. Stay with us.